So shalom, it's Sister Kate here on, what is today? 4th day, 5th day? And I've been working out in the garden, and I made a little potato patch right here out of some mulch that's been here a couple of years. Right in here, you see where the sticks are and stuff. I planted potatoes in there. I don't know if y'all are familiar with the potato planting, but you get those potatoes, and every little, they call it an eye, every little divot and every little bump that's like seems to be growing, you cut the potato so that there's some potato underneath of that, like into sections, and each section should have one of those little divots, and then you plant that divot side up. So I had 2 potatoes and I planted them in here, and I wanted to point out something right over here. This is some mustard that we have been casting around the land in various and sundry places, trying to see where it would grow as a part of a guerrilla garden. And you think, guerrilla? No, guerrilla as in like out of the ordinary garden, out of the way garden. And we have lots of things that kind of fit that shoe here, like all these blackberries we don't plant anymore. They just grow everywhere, and we let them, and we try to facilitate them so that we have this free food that replenishes itself. And that mustard stands for one of those. And I planted kale all down our road to make patches of kale. Now, you've seen our garden. We have kale here. I can even show it to you. But if we have extra kale growing other places, 1, we can feed other people with it. 2, it's kind of out of the way, so only we know where it is. But 3, if we have tons and tons of it, then it's just extra food that we can share with someone or use as goat feed. There's just many different reasons to grill a garden. Another way to do it is like in your town or your city. Let's say, you know, you have a tornado come through and half the town is destroyed. Well, if you've guerrilla gardened all around your city, like in city parks or median strips, side of the road, you've put in garlic or onion or squash or something, and it all grows. Well, when half the town's destroyed, you have a source of food on the other half of town. That's just kind of one reason to do the guerrilla gardening. To have the extra food for the animals is the second reason. And a third reason is if you have to flee. Like, you could guerrilla garden in your area, like of your national park or your state park or your country property or something. If you don't live there, you can still plant fruit trees out there and throw out plants that continue to grow year in and year out. Like arugula. We planted arugula here in this garden. It was just part of a lettuce mix, and that lettuce mix threw out different kinds of lettuces. We let it go to seed, and the arugula was like crazy. It seeded in the spring and in the fall and grew everywhere. And then these lettuce plants also grew up after the winter time came. Like, this is an heirloom, or these are heirloom variety lettuces, and they're continuing to throw them down, so I didn't even have to plant lettuce this year. It's the same with what else we have growing kind of like that. Well, not exactly like that, but the kale we planted in October, and it came up now in the spring. It hasn't even seeded. We haven't even let it seed. But if it does throw seeds down, it will grow kale again in the same spot, and then we have that much more kale. So guerrilla gardening, it's an idea. It kind of segues with wild plant growth and wild plant identification. Here's an example of that right here. It's a wild chive. I've heard someone say we should dig them up and separate them, kind of like this guy is over here, to see how much bigger they might get, so you could get more food for your effort. So give it a thought, you know, see where you could guerrilla garden in your area and what you're gonna yield from it. All right, shalom. Okay, shalom, Sister Kate here again, same day. This is some of that kale that I planted It's out on the land. It's there to be collected. And what I did was, you're probably not able to see me, are you? It's holding it all different ways and hand in front of the camera. Rude. Anyway, that is some of it. And what I did is I was walking along taking care of the goats here, and I just dropped it all along the way I was walking because it was in the bag that I use for Chauffeur Mountain. So let me show you it. That was one patch, and here's more. There's one, and then there's one right up there. So it's pretty well spread. And the whole point of it, of course, is to provide more food for the mountain. All right, shalom.